Okay, let's talk about the new Druid class. Now, the old Druid class, the first edition Druid class was my favorite class, though Magic User was a close second. But second edition ruined the Druid. I didn't see anybody playing a second edition Druid for 20 years. But then third edition fixed the Druid, made him really powerful, so much so that there was this term Codzilla, Cleric or Druidzilla. Haven't played 5th edition Druid, but let's look at this new edition of Druid. So, they, their main attribute is Wisdom, and their saving throw proficiencies are Intelligence and Wisdom. And they get 8-sided hit dice. Now they get to pick 2 proficiencies from Arcana, that's knowledge of magic use, animal handling, insight, medicine, nature, perception, religion, or survival. Yeah, in my current 5th edition campaign, there's a ranger who's really bad at making nature rolls, which seems odd to me. Anyway, the weapon proficiencies are simple weapons, light armor, and shields. And they get a tool proficiency, which so far only the bards have gotten. In their case, it's for a herbalism kit. And their starting equipment is leather armor, shield, sickle, druid focus, parenthesis quarterstaff, explorer's pack, herbalism kit, and 9 gold pieces. Or they can start with 50 gold pieces and just pick it yourself. So let's go into the powers of a druid. Now, one thing is their spellcasting focus is no longer a sprig of mistletoe like it was in first edition days. It's a quarterstaff, so it probably hurts a lot worse to be hit with the quarterstaff than it does with the sprig of mistletoe. But okay, so they can cast 2 cantrips at first, and they can't change them until they level up. And they have, well, let's go look on the other page of this. They start off with 4 prepared spells, which they can change every time they take a long rest. And of those, they can cast 2 of them a day. They have some other powers. They get the Druidic language. Now, in all my years of playing, I have never. Druid language goes all the way back to at least first edition, and I've never seen any player or DM use that. It's just been a statistic about that class. In fact, one of my house rules was that any character with neutral alignment can speak the Druidic language, but only Druids can actually read and write it. Anyway, they also get a primal order, sort of like clerics. In their case, it's a magician, in which case they get an extra cantrip, and they can use their wisdom modifier for arcana and nature checks. Let me double check that. Yeah. Also, or the other choice is warden, in which case they get proficiency with martial weapons and medium armor. Also, that druidic ability, language ability, also gives them the ability to always speak with animals prepared. Now, I've come across this before, and I think they mean in addition to the 4 that they get, not one of those 4 has to be this, because that would be lame. So, at second level, they get wild shape. They can change to an animal, and they recommend it be rat, riding horse, spider, or wolf. Now, in first edition, you couldn't do this until 7th level, and at that point, the monsters you were facing were so powerful it wasn't really a combat ability, it was more of a stealth ability. You could change to an animal and people wouldn't notice you. But in this one, you can do it at low level, but your choice of animals is kind of lame. You can't fly until you are 8th level, so you can't turn into a bird and do scouting. That's kind of lame. And also, it recommends that you look up the animals in the monster manual. Now, in my day, you couldn't. If you were a player, you weren't supposed to look at the monster manual. That's for the DM only. Okay, and also it says you can't cast spells while in wild shape. In 3rd edition, that was a feat that would allow you to do that. So it was a feat that every druid would take, but here you can't do it at the beginning. As you go up in level, you can gain a wild companion, which is not a real animal like you would expect with a druid. It's a nature spirit that takes animal form and disappears when you take a long rest. That seems... I liked the interaction with nature spirits in Oriental Adventures, but it seems like druids would attract real animals, not nature spirits. Anyway, their other abilities that go up in power, up in level, are a druid subclass at 3rd level. Ability score improvement, improvements in the wild shape, improvements in damage with spells or combat. And finally, at 18th level, they can cast spells in their beast form. So let's go into the spells a little bit. The cantrips are Druidcraft, makes sense. Elementalism, can't read from this far away. Elementalism, Guidance, Mending, Message, Poison Spray, Message, a magic user spell, Produce Flame, Resistance, Shillelagh. I looked that up, and it's about equally as useful as the old version. It's different, but about the same as usefulness. Spear of the Dying, Starry Wisp, Thorn Whip, and Thunderclap. And the first level spells are Animal Friendship, Charm Person. It's no longer Charm Person or Mammal, which would be more useful. Create or Destroy Water, Cure Wounds, Detect Magic, Detect Poison and Disease, Entangle, Fairy Fire, Fog Cloud, Goodberry. Goodberry. In my games, druids can't do Cure Wounds. I can only do Goodberry. But Goodberry is beefed up. In this version, Goodberry only makes 10 berries, and you can't cast it as a higher level spell. But in my games, Goodberry allows you to create 1d4 berries per level of the caster that lasts a number of days equal to the level of the caster. So a druid could cast this a bunch of times in preparation for going on the adventure, but would have to protect them from being lost or damaged during the adventure, and it would not be as useful in the midst of the adventure. Anyway, it's Goodberry, Healing Word, Ice Knife, it's not a magic user spell, Jump, Long Strider, Protection from Evil and Good, Purify Food and Drink, Speak with Animals, and Thunder Wave. And they also get, their spells go all the way up to 9th level. The 9th level spells are Foresight, Shape Change, Storm of Vengeance, and True Resurrection. So Chain Staff and Creeping Doom are gone, and Reincarnation's gone. You know, those are my favorite high-level druid spells. They're not here anymore. So let's look at the subclasses for this. Now, the first one is Circle of Land. You're more connected to the land, and it varies according to what land you're connected to. It could be arid land, polar land, temperate land, and tropical land. I think you can change it according to where you are at the moment. So that's nice. The next one is Circle of the Moon. You're connected to the night sky, specifically the moon. Okay, that makes sense for druids, sort of. It's more like it would fit good with a witch class if there were such a thing. Next one is Circle of the Sea. Yeah, in case you want to be a aquatic druid, a sailor druid. And then the final one is Circle of the Stars. Now, I don't understand why Circle of the Moon and Circle of the Stars are separate ones, but they are. I think that they are because they wanted to have 4 variants of Druid. I want every class to have 4 subclasses, and they were kind of stumped. They couldn't think of a 4th one, so. But yeah, Circle of the Stars, amongst other things, gives you some navigation and divination abilities. While the Moon seems to be more focused on light producing. Anyway, that's the new Druid class.